We are talking about, and turn my volume up, we're talking about the beauty of habits and consistency. Oh my goodness. Okay, so fun stuff. So, you know, just to jump in, real quick, I sent a message earlier, or probably last week, about from Jenny Rayleigh talking about willpower and how, we all only have so much willpower for the day, and we typically use it up earlier in the day for other things. And so doing the things that we need willpower for earlier in the day is smarter, because then we actually have enough to get the job done. So we do all have just enough, or we have a certain amount of willpower. All of us do. And the reason that creating habits and doing things consistently is so beautiful is because once something is a habit, it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't take any willpower. And sometimes it takes a lot less willpower than what it would take before the habit was created. So, I'm going to give you a couple quotes. Good habits are the key to a successful life. We're going to look at some good MK habits today. So here's a couple quotes for you. Consistent action creates consistent results. Okay, so that's kind of like continue doing what you're doing, you'll continue getting what you're getting. Okay. Long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. And then we are what we repeatedly do. And that quote is from Aristotle. That's pretty famous. So yeah, think about that for a second. I guess also the definition of insanity is, continuing to do the same thing, expecting different results. And so what we do repeatedly is what we are, is what we get. And if we think about that, just in relation, to our business, it's like, you're going to reap what you sow. And the thing that I love about the consistency aspect of this is that we all only have so much energy and so much ability to do the whole short-term sacrifice, long-term gain thing. You'll hear that. You'll absolutely hear that. I feel like right now I'm in one of those seasons. I'm willing to sacrifice some things short-term to finish this year as the Circle of Excellence unit. And so, I've been saying I'll sleep in Rome, I'll fix my hair in Rome, I'll, but the truth of the matter is you can't stay in sprint mode for long periods of time. And so we're going to talk about that, and how some of these habits that we create will actually, it takes energy in the beginning, it takes willpower, it takes effort, it takes focus. But once they're created as habits, and once you're on this consistent pattern of activity, your business becomes very, very simple and very, very enjoyable. So okay, so let's think of some things that might be something that would create like willpower, or wanting to create a new habit with getting up early, working out, staying up a little bit later, or going to bed earlier. We can do some things for a short period of time, but again, what happens is that catches up with us, and stamina runs out. And here's the thing too, like when we're in this motion of like, I can do this for a short period of time and I'm going to be going and going and going and going and going, what happens is life circumstances typically hit. It's just one of those things. Like Linda Tupin always says, which is kind of funny, we're either going into a crisis, coming out of a crisis, or we know someone in a crisis. And so as women, when stuff hits the fan and when life circumstance happens and we're in this like go, like flying by the seat of our pants kind of motion, then that's when whatever it is that's taking all of our energy and something else hits, that's when we have to set that aside. And that creates, putting Mary Kay up on a shelf when life circumstances hit, and putting it aside because you can't keep up, because it's constantly taking energy. And now that this situation happened in your life or family or someone else's life, and you have to go deal with this, you drop the ball. And that's where I see most people give up on their business. And so what we want to do is we want to create these habits and the consistent activity. So so that it's not feeling like you're in a rat race. So it's not feeling like this is taking mass energy. So that when things happen in life, you're like, got this, holding this up over here, still continuing to work my business, got this going on over here. Okay, we're good. You know, you become, it's more of like a juggling act, but this doesn't seem hard because this is what you always do. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight. Let's see. So how long does it take to create a new habit? Well, I mean, there's different, some people say it's 21 days. I don't know if I agree with that. I think science will say it's about 66 days to create like a new habit. Pam Shaw, I love her quote when she talks about diet. She's like, you know, you can start a diet in the middle of a bag of chips, but you can change your body, you can change your life, and you can change your marriage in 90 days. So we focus on Mary Kay on a 90-day cycle. The seeds that you sow, you'll start to see the results of that in 90 days. So I would never tell someone, yes, tomorrow, what you book this week, you might see some results of that next week. But it's the abundant mentality that we're after. And so 90 days of consistent activity is where you're going to see results. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of, you know, P90X. It's a workout program. It's videos. It's Tony Horton, beachbody.com, and it's a 90-day program. Okay, you're going to see some results at the 30-day mark. You're going to see some results at the 60-day mark. But when you get to 90 days, it's transformational. I mean, it's transformational. And I think sometimes we're in the midst of it. You know, we're in this cycle, and we're on, you know, day 30, and it feels okay. I mean, we're making strides. We're seeing results with like life or business or whatever, but we're not really seeing the true results. And because we're instant gratification society, and we're like, well, you said I was going to make money, and look, yeah, you are. You have to stay consistent with it. You have to put in the time. I remember there was this one season where I was working. I was working. I was like, I'm working. I was doing two to three appointments a week. I was in the zone. I was focused. I was intentional. I wasn't just doing things to check it off. I wasn't just doing faces to hit, 30. I was like intentional. And 90 days came, and it was still like, where's the results? And I'm like, okay. And she was like, go another 90 days. And I'm like, another 90 days. Okay, I'll go another 90 days. And I'm telling you what, y'all, after that second 90-day period, it was like an explosion happened. That's when we earned our first Cadillac. And in the midst of that, I was like, what is happening? But I was committed enough to stay with it. Okay, that's the key. Your commitment level, your grit has to be there, because no one is going to develop a new habit, or no one is going to stay consistent with something long enough to see results if you're not committed. Okay, so that's a whole nother topic. And I feel like we've kind of covered that, but so like, let's kind of dive in. What would be some habits that would be useful in our business in Mary Kay? So there's, we could go, some of these are useful in life, but let's kind of focus here. Meetings. I'm going to list them all, and then we'll kind of talk through some of them. So meetings, okay, it's a habit, and there's some consistency benefits there. Booking, a habit of having a booking time or booking times throughout the week, like it's a scheduled thing. When you coach in pre-profile parties, this is a habit. How you book, how you choose to book from bookings, what you say at your parties is actually, it becomes a habit. And what you do consistently at your parties, asking, you can't try something once or twice and say, oh, that didn't work. No. You have to be consistent with it. How you choose to get referrals at every party. Do you do it at some parties and not others? Do you say the same thing, or you try saying different things every time? Your morning routine. How is it that you wake up in the morning? We've already talked about affirmations and what you feed into your mind. That's a habit, what you choose to do. I got in this really stinky place last year, actually, of turning on the news in the morning to like hear the weather. And it was like, what was I thinking? I mean, it ruined days, like listening to the Rated R News. That became a habit that I was like, I became aware of it. I'm like, oh, this is a habit. I have to replace this with something else. Your bedtime. Are you doing your 6 most important things to do list the night before? What time you wake up? What kind of attitude you have. Like, are you positive? That's actually a habit. Being early, being on time, dressing the part. Let's see if there was any others that I wrote down. So those are some habits that we could talk about. Now, there's other ones. There's definitely other ones. But let's kind of talk about these. Okay, so meeting. A habit. Okay, I'm just going to be totally honest with you guys. Just totally throw it out there. And I'm not sure if any other director feels this way or not, but when I started Mary Kay, I can't say that I was excited about going to a weekly meeting. I'm sorry, I don't think that I was. But I realized very quickly the significance that me attending weekly would have on my business. And so it wasn't something that I did when I felt like going. It was something that I did no matter what. And that has proven over time, time and time again, to be significant and where I am personally as a sales director, but where we are as a unit. I mean, think about this, you guys. If I didn't feel like, on the days that I didn't feel like holding our Mary Kay meeting, what would that say about me as a leader? Could it be anything that you could count on? No. Are we having a meeting tonight? I don't know. I wonder if Amber feels like it tonight. I mean, that would be crazy. And so, or even as a consultant, I saw the benefits of that consistency, something I could count on, something that I didn't have to wonder if it was happening or not, something where I knew I could go and I could get positive energy and it would feed me for the whole week. It was a safe place for me to take guests. I knew that I was going to get results no matter what. I was going to get at least sales, at least bookings, or at least a new team member. I was going to get something out of the process if I showed up consistently. I knew that me consistently showing up dramatically affected the people in our unit. You may think, oh, if I don't show up, it's no big deal. Guess what? You are missed. Your energy is missed. So the consistency of meetings is huge. Consistency of well, and I'll tell you this too, like your situation, your people will take this business as serious as you do. Okay, so if you aren't very serious about it and you aren't like, listen, I have to be there. This is important. This is like my job. I have to be there. Then it's, if people schedule a family get together on, meeting night, and you're not really, you go sometimes and you go sometimes not. And you're like, oh, that's my meeting night. And I'm like, well, you skip sometimes. It's no big deal. So I remember early on, like my meetings were on Monday nights. And then when I became a sales director, I switched it. They were actually Tuesday nights for like years. They were on Tuesday night. And it was we just knew. Amber has meeting on Tuesday nights. Like Christian knew, my mother-in-law knew, my mom knew. I had backup childcare, so that if he was working late, I mean, there was a significant part of my business as an early director that my husband was on second shift. And I did a significant amount of my appointments in the evenings, and that is the season that I transitioned into more day appointments. But the Tuesday night thing, I had childcare, I had backup childcare, and I had backup childcare. It was like it was no joking around, but everybody knew, no matter what, Tuesday nights were meeting. And in fact, when we were looking at it transitioning our meeting space from one place to another, something became available to us on a Thursday night. And the lady that I was talking to on the phone about that, I was like, well, it has to be Tuesday night. And she's like, well, why does it have to be Tuesday night? And I'm like, well, because it's always been a Tuesday night. And she's like, is it changeable? And I'm like, no. But then I'm like, well, maybe it is. And that's how much of ingrained it was in my brain, like Tuesday, that I was like, no. But yeah, I guess it could be. And so that's just to show kind of the point of how ingrained it was. Okay. So specific booking time. Okay, this is so critical, you guys. Okay, here's a news flash. Nobody feels like making booking calls. I really don't know of any director, any consultant that loves to make booking calls. If I find her, I will let you know who she is, but I don't know of any. And so it's about creating the habit and being consistent about it. And so what I felt like was a good time for me while I was working full time, I started to do Sunday night booking calls. And the reason that I did is because I feel like life settles a little bit on Sundays. People were home Sunday evening. They were getting ready for the following week. There weren't sporting activities. It was just in my head, it worked. And that's all that matters, is if it works in your head, fine. And so every Sunday night, which my husband and I were really big football fans, and we used to watch football together on Sunday nights. And that was really the only time. It was a sacrifice that I had to make to get where I wanted to go. I started making booking calls on Sunday nights. And so for a long time, it took every ounce of energy, every energy molecule that I had in my body to get into our back bedroom, to get settled, and to get on the phone. But then it became a habit, because I did it every Sunday night, and I played a game. Like if I always went ahead with like my calendar for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, had 10 appointments on my day book, I didn't have to book on Sunday night. If I didn't have 10 things on my day book for the next 3 weeks, then I had to book on Sunday nights. And so let me just say that I was booking every Sunday night. And there was one Sunday night that I came out because I only needed to get one booking to have, the 10 forecasted for the next 3 weeks. And I came out, and Christian was like, "What are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be booking?" Like, it became such a habit that he expected it. And in the beginning, I would say that he was kind of annoyed that I was making booking calls on Sunday nights. That was like our time together. And I was like, I have to do this. Like, I want to do this. I want to make this work. So I'm going to make booking calls on Sunday nights. And he was like, "Oh, it's our time together." But then it was like, "All right, what are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be making booking calls?" It is such a habit. It became such a consistent thing that it was noticed if I wasn't doing it. I remember when we moved into the apartment, and Sunday night was my booking call night, and there was nowhere to go. While we were building our house, we moved like our family and our business and everything into a 3-bedroom apartment, and there was nowhere to make booking calls. So I had to get creative, because it was I would take a lawn chair and I would go hide on the side of our apartment building. I would take my list and I would make calls outside until it got so cold that I couldn't. And then what I would do is I would heat up the car and I would go make booking calls in my car, because I couldn't make them inside where it would be quiet. Now, I could threaten my kids' lives and say, "Listen, you got to be quiet for this amount of time," but it just worked that I went and hid somewhere. But it was such a habit to consistently have that time. And it's like the thought of not doing it became really weird. It felt weird, like, "Oh, I should be making booking calls." That's how it's a habit. Coaching and pre-profiling, I would just say that, like, what I do as a sales director is I have certain days or like a schedule that I do coaching and pre-profiling, and a schedule of when I'm coaching new consultants and things like that. Like, I try to keep myself on a schedule, because then it's just consistent. I'm doing a little bit each day or a little bit once a week, and it's just what I do. So I would also have like a coaching pre-profiling scheduled in my date book, like it's an appointment with yourself, so that becomes consistent and it's a habit. How you book from your party and how you get referrals from your party. Your whole party, the whole script is a habit. And that's why it's so important when you're building your business that you Vox me or communicate with your sales director after every single appointment that you do, every single one. I still to this day will Vox Julia after some of my appointments, and I'm not needing coaching on, but it's a habit of telling her how it went. Like, I would say, this is how much I sold, this is how many people are there, this is who I've set up interviews with, and this is how many bookings I got off of it. This is what I feel went really well. This is what I think I still need to work on. I'll do that now with like an event that I host. Like, this is what happened, this is what was good, this is how it went, this is what I need help on, this is what I feel like went, really well, or what I did awesome at. But what happens is with the skincare class is when we can communicate after each single one, and you're brand new, you're developing your skincare class habits. And so if there's something that might be off or could just be tweaked just a little bit, and you get totally different results because what you say does matter, you don't create a habit. It's really hard to go back and fix something that you say that doesn't necessarily work once it's a habit, because we always go back to our habits. And so it's really important that you create good habits. And so how you're asking for bookings at your party, how are you playing the referral game, all of that is extremely important. And you want to create good habits, because it's what you'll say for the next 10 years, honestly. Once you figure it out, once you're like, this is what I say, this is what I do, this is how I set up, this, everything. That's what you're going to do for the next 10 years. So it's important that you create good ones. Let's see, 6 most important things before you go to bed. When you can be diligent about the next day, you can be way more productive. And so if you plan out what you have to do the next day, the night before, when you get up, your feet hit the floor, you know. Literally, we have been taught by Pam Shaw to schedule out our day in 30-minute increments. And at first that seems so crazy to me. But it's a significant game changer in my life. Like when I am scheduled 30 minutes out, it's a reality check. For one, do I have time to do all this? And Corey is actually going to talk about next week, how to be a good planner, how to delegate, what that looks like. And so, but you have to plan out ahead. Can't have a perfect day, can't have a perfect week, can't have a perfect month if you don't even know what it looks like. And so being task oriented the night before helps you set up a really productive day. Bedtime, wake time. Mary Kay used to talk about the 5 o'clock club, which was, it added a whole nother work day to your week when you got up just an hour earlier, and getting started with fresh feet before kids got up, and you're ready for the day, and you've done your quiet time. And so when I was working full time, I was not a morning person, like, at all. In fact, I really think that's why I initially wanted to become a sales director, so that I could sleep in past 5:30. And it's one of the benefits of being a sales director is I can wake up and start my day when I want to. But what time you go to bed affects what time you wake up. And so if you're going to bed super late and expecting to get up earlier, it's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to sustain that over time if that's not what you're doing. And so, your wake time, your bedtime, your positive affirmations and your positive attitude, we've already talked about this, but that is a habit. What you allow in and what you say to yourself is completely a habit. Being early, dressing the part, people know that one of my weaknesses is being on time for things, and I've really had to work on that. So now I try to get to things like a half hour early, so that I can mentally prepare for the appointment. But more importantly, it's so that I'm on time. That's a habit. And you can change that habit. It's not something that has to be forever. Every habit is changed. It just has to be replaced with, it's changeable. Every habit just has to be replaced with a new habit. You can't just change the way that you are. You have to replace what you do with something else. Dressing the part, this is kind of a big deal. Like, you typically don't want to go around town as the Mary Kay lady, looking like, well, like looking not like you saw Mary Kay. And that for me was hard in the beginning because I was like a tomboy. I didn't really wear makeup. And so the thought that I couldn't like run uptown without my makeup on was like, but you know what? if you run into people that potentially you want to be your customers, or even worse, if you run into your customers and they're looking at you like, girl, I need to help you with your face. And you have to dress the part of the next level that you want. And as bold as that might be for me to say, like, it's really true. So it's not that you need to be in a suit at your kid's ball game. No, not at all. But you need to dress the part of a Mary Kay consultant or a Mary Kay sales director. And that's a habit. It's just a habit. Okay, let's see. I don't know if you guys have heard of, there's a book, but it's the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And so I'm just going to read you these habits because I think they kind of match up with some of the things that we talked about. Some of the things that we talked about are very task oriented. But 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Number 1, be proactive. That means don't procrastinate. Mary Kay always talked about being part of the din club, and it was do it now, do it now, do it now. I think of that often. I think of her saying that often when I'm like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Nope, do it now. Being proactive saves us so much time. Number 2, begin with the end in mind. That's another habit that we have in Mary Kay, is being consistent with our planning, like our monthly planning. So we look at what we want and then we work it backwards, and then we come up with like, how do I do this consistently? Number 3, put first things first. Prioritize what's important. Pam Shaw always teaches us that a procrastination on your part is not an emergency on my part. Don't be reaction driven all day long. I think some of our jobs are like that, where we have to, like, this blows up and we got to fix it. Like, we're always on call. We're always reacting. I don't check email in the morning. I try not to check Boxer in the morning. I try to be proactive, get what I need to get done first, and then I react to things that I need to react to. Think win-win. I win, you win kind of thing. That also plays into the whole abundance mentality thoughts. There's plenty for all of us to win here. You don't have to be like, oh, she took my team member. Well, there's like millions of women around the world. But the reality is we live in an abundant world, and there's plenty for all of us. We all can win. The next one is seek first to understand and then be understood. And that's just about having empathy. I know it's, when you're in a conversation, or even when there's like maybe a heated topic for debate, we all want to be understood. Like, we all want to be understood. And so if you can take that rationalization and be like, okay, I'm going to understand her. I'm going to understand him first. I'm going to jump into the world. I'm going to try to see where they're coming from. And then I'll share some of my thoughts. But first, seek to understand someone. The next one is synergize. And that is, I was like, really? What does all that mean? Okay, so it's like basically understanding the differences between you and that perspective, looking at the differences and having basically like an open mind. And it really does open new possibilities, and it becomes like a cumulative effort instead of just I see it this way, you see it this way. Well, let's bring that together. How can like our ideas make it even bigger and better? And then sharpen the saw. Okay. Basically devoting time to renewing yourself. You can only dish out what you put in. I can only give you what I've learned. So if I choose not to renew myself, being physically, spiritually, leadership skills, then I tap out at a certain level. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be under leadership or mentorship of someone who's tapped out. And you're the same, for your people, for your family, for your spouse. Renew yourself. I know I used to feel really guilty about going and getting my nails done, or going and getting my hair done, or going and getting a massage, until I realized, whoa, if I don't renew myself, if I don't take care of myself, I have left over literally like squat to give to people. In the beginning, traveling to different Mary Kay events, I didn't want to leave my family. Like, I didn't want to leave Christian. I didn't want to leave the kids. I remember my second seminar. It was my second seminar. I had just had Kendall in March, and I went to seminar in July, and I cried the entire way to Dallas. I cried the entire way. I mean, I feel sorry for the person sitting next to me. I don't even know who they were. I didn't look at them the whole time, because I was like, the whole time. And I was still, I guess, nursing. No, I had just weaned her, I think. But anyway, I was a hot mess. And I got there. No, I was still nursing. Yep, I was still nursing, because there's stories about that. But anyway, I get there, and I was reminded, I'm a wife. I'm a girlfriend to these women. I'm also just me. Aside from being a mom, I am these other things. And it let me, it completely renewed my mind, my spirit. And I was able to take what I needed from that event, and I went home, and I promise you, I was a better wife, and I was a better mom to Kendall, because I took that time and I invested in renewing myself. And that is like super important habit. Okay. So those are some habits. So what I would suggest when looking at habits and looking at things that you want to change, you can't do it all. You can't improve, all of your habits. And in fact, it takes massive energy in the beginning to create a new habit. And so if you try to go out and even 3 or 4 new things, you're not going to be able to do it. And then you feel defeated, and it tears at your confidence. Like, I couldn't even do that. Okay, so pick one thing. Pick one thing, and try to pick the one thing that will make everything else unneeded or easier. So like for me, like right now, personally, getting personal, I know that my workout time and my getting a healthier lifestyle kick in here is going to change everything. Because eventually, if I'm not eating right and I'm not taking care of myself, I'm going to steam out and I'm going to, not literally, but I'm going to flatline and there will be no more of me to give. I'm going to get sick. I'm not going to be able to finish the goal that I have set out for us if I get worn down and don't take care of myself. And so I also know that me not taking care of myself with my workout and my daily exercise, it affects my confidence. I want to be able to walk in my closet and get dressed and put anything on, because my goal for the day is to focus on other people. And if I go in there and I'm worried about what I look like and what outfit fits, that is actually selfish. It's all about me. And I remember Pam talking about when she finally got to the weight that was always her goal weight. She was like, it's so refreshing to be able to walk into my closet, put whatever I want on, and walk out the door and focus on people, which is what I was made to do. Instead of worrying about me and what fits, what doesn't, what I look like in this, nobody cares. It's selfish. And so I know that for me to be the best leader and the best mentor, that is my one thing. Here's the other thing. Good habits bleed into other aspects of your life. So creating discipline here will just feed into other things. For instance, this is just basic, funny. I hate water. I hate drinking water. You give me one of them big old jugs and I'm going to get this much. I don't even drink a lot with my meal. I can have a whole meal and I get done and I've drank that much liquid. It's hard for me to drink water. And so what I notice is, when I work out, oh my gosh, I have a gallon of water by the time I'm done with my workout. And definitely by 9 a.m., I have taken an entire, a liter, at least 2 liters of water. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's a new habit I need. It fed from that one. And then I have all this water and then I don't eat like crap before noon because I'm full with water. It's amazing. And so that affects my eating habits. It affects my energy level throughout the day. I can actually focus and do things that I said I was going to do. I'm not tired. I don't need an afternoon nap because I started my day with that one thing. That one thing bleeds into everything else and then affects everything else. So figure out what your one thing is and then do that one thing and commit to doing that one thing for 90 days and then do it again. Do it again for another 90 days. And in 180 days, you will not recognize who you are or your business from where you started. It'll be in a significantly different place. Okay. All right. So consistency, what I'll just say about this is, consistency allows you to constantly reap what you sow. Okay. So if you are doing activity here and then you're like, and then you're doing activity here, and then you're like, you're going to get results here, and then you get results over here. And then, okay, so your results are going to be as is your activity. But if you're consistent, so is your activity. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have to ramp up our activity every once in a while so that we get a little bit more quicker results with things. That's not what that means. But what it does mean is if you continue to be consistent, 2 parties a week, 3 parties a week, 2 parties a week, 3 parties a week, whatever your thing is, you're always going to have results with your business. You're never going to be in, I wonder if this is what I'm supposed to be doing land. Yeah, you're going to always be getting orders. You're going to be always in booking mode. You're going to be always in success mode. You're not going to be roller coaster emotions. No, just be consistent. Your consistent might be 1 party a week. You're always going to count on the results because you're always being consistent. Let's see. The other thing that consistency will do is it prevents sprint recoup mode. Okay, so I've already said earlier that you can only put out or put up with something that you really don't like or really don't feel like doing, or it's requiring too much out of you for so long to where you steam out and I can't do this. I'm done. I need to take a vacation. I need a break. And then you're like, I'm on a break from Mary Kay for a month or 2 because I'm recouping. Okay. So what does that get us? Nothing. Because then it requires a bunch of energy to get started up again. And that's it just drains me thinking about it. And so if you just stay consistent, you're not fast, stop, recoup, fast, stop, recoup. You're just feels good. Keep on flying, sister. It's feels really good. There's so many benefits that come from being consistent. Corey's going to talk about delegation and being superwoman next week for our final boot camp series. But you guys, let's really wrap our heads around this. Like, what if you just really do 2 appointments a week every week? What would happen? What would happen with your business? What if you made an hour of booking calls each week? What would happen? What if you wrote your 6 most important things to do the night before, and what if you actually did them the next day? What would happen? What if I talked to myself positively every single day for 90 days? Would I recognize myself in 90 days? I'll just say this, that when you get really serious about creating new habits and being consistent with your business, you're not only doing yourself a favor, but you're doing everyone else around you a favor too. Because I believe that our positive attitude and what we give into the world is a direct result of what we're willing to do behind the scenes. I think in a society where we see everybody's highlight reel on Facebook to everyone else, we go to career conference or seminar and Susie Q's doing it. What we don't realize is it's not about a gift or a talent that she has. It's not about how many people she knew. It was about what she was doing when no one else was watching. It was about when she made Sunday night booking calls. It was about her showing up at meeting every week. It was about what time she went to bed and what time she got up. It was about how she spoke to herself. It was about, who she chose to let into her life. It's how she spent the first 2 hours of her day. We can't compare ourselves and put ourselves down ever, but we definitely can't compare ourselves and think, oh, I could never do that, when we haven't even really tried. Does that make sense? Like, we haven't really done it long enough to see the results. The mistake that I see, a lot of new consultants will come to Mary Kay and they'll be really excited and they're going to be like, do. And then something happens at 6 weeks. 6 weeks, a lot of people bail out. And the reason is because number one, excitement wears off at 6 weeks. And number two, habits haven't been created yet. So you have to get past that 6 week mark. You have to move into that 90-day cycle of creating good habits before you're going to see results. Okay. All right. So what I want you to do for homework is I want you to write down some key habits that you would love to work on. Okay. And then you're gonna rate them, and you're gonna pick your top 3, and you're gonna put them in order, and you're gonna vox them to your sales director, and you're gonna say, okay, these are my top 3, and we're actually gonna come up. Well, we're not. You're gonna come up with a plan or a promise to yourself of how you're gonna tackle number 1. And from number 1, other ones will come after that. But all the habits that you want to be different. And this is like not a beat yourself up session. This is one of those just reality sessions of like, these are new habits that I want to create. One of the things that I want to do is how my morning goes with my kids. What am I doing in the morning that could make the day a little bit more positive for everybody involved? I find that on the way to school, because I drive my kids to school every morning, if the morning didn't go as well or as planned as I wanted, the morning could be a lesson on the way to school, or a conversation more out of my mouth into their ears than what I want their morning to look like. So that is about awareness. Okay, number 1, okay, that's not working. Number 2, what am I going to do to change that? And so one of the things that we started to do and we got away from, and I want to bring back, is like, this is going to be a habit, is I want to just pray on the way to school. I want them to each have a prayer. I want them to be thinking positive thoughts when they get out of the car, my car, like the fact that I wanted to be at home with my kids to love on my children. I want, when they get out of my car at school, that they are as filled up with as much positive energy that they get to tackle the day to their best ability. And so that's an example. Another example is when I get home from taking my kids to school, my butt doesn't do anything else but start my workout. That's it. So those are mine. So you can keep me accountable, and you can ask me how that's going, but those are mine. And I definitely, let's see, my third one would be, if I had to pick a third one, I really need to think about. I'll let you know what my third one is in Voxer. But so yeah, share with your director. The top 3, rate them, and then like the one and your kind of plan of like what you're gonna do. And I just cannot wait to see where these habit tweaks, how they affect us in 90 days and 180 days, and just developing consistency. And it just completely frees you to have this just be a part of your life. Like we talk about sprinkling Mary Kay into your life. Well, when you have good habits with it and when you're consistent, that is exactly what you'll see. So have a great night. Love you guys.